Thank you. So I am the Vermont field agent for Land for Good. I live and work out of Saxons River, which is Vermont, which is down near Dallas Falls. My co-instructors today will be Karen Cargill, who is our New Hampshire field agent, and then Peg Merens from the Upper Valley Land Trust. To start out, let me introduce a little bit about our organization, Land for Good, and when Peg gets up later, she'll talk more about the Upper Valley Land Trust. But I want to give you an overview of what we do at Land for Good and how that overlaps with the work that you do, and how it brought us to creating this class which you are taking in today. Land for Good is a nonprofit based down in Keene, New Hampshire. We have staff that work in all 6 New England states and occasionally in New York, and then projects elsewhere. We have one of our staff persons who's working out in a project out in Michigan right now. We work on all aspects of farmland access and tenure issues. We work with farmers who are looking for land, who are looking to improve their farm tenure situation, maybe going from a verbal lease to a written lease, moving from leasing to owning. We work with people on cooperative farm arrangements, purchasing properties together or farming together. We work with non-farming landowners who are either currently leasing their land to farmers or are interested in leasing their land to farmers, or otherwise other farmers on different issues about the relationship, whether it's about leasing, insurance, and infrastructure, capital infrastructure, communications, and relationships between landlord and tenant. We also work with farm families on intergenerational farm transfers. So we work with them on helping get the farm from one generation to another, and all the diverse aspects that go along with that. We also do work in research. We're just finishing up a research project right now on 5 investment companies that are purchasing farmland in New England to get a return on for investors. We work on policy. We have a person who specifically works, their position is specifically around policy, both at the state level in New England states, and then also on farmland policy nationally. We do our work through different means. One is direct service. So we do work directly with farmers. We work directly with landowners. We also work with communities. Sometimes we get involved in community-wide projects where people are trying to enhance and sustain the agricultural use of land in their communities. We work with organizations like the Upper Valley Land Trust on conservation easements. As I said, we also work on policy and research, and then we also do education workshops like this. Some publications that are in your packet or that we'll refer to today. So this is the second time that we've offered this class. This class originated from our experience over the years of working with farmers, working with both property owners and farmers, and their real estate agents over the years. And we've had the pleasure of working with so many fine real estate agents, very competent. Many of them, a number of them are also very good with farms, but we saw that there was many real estate agents we worked with that were great with the house, but when they got beyond the house, when they got to the land, when they got to farms, water resources, other infrastructure that we talked about, there was some gaps there that we felt like we could help fill, so that we could help do your job better. As we talk throughout the day, I want to emphasize that we recognize we are not real estate agents, nor are we lawyers. We work with people to help enhance the work that you do and the work that attorneys do to help inform people so that they have more information. So we want to reach out to you. This is part of our broader effort we want to make out of reaching out to the real estate agent community to work with more coordination. And as we go through the course this morning, we will be talking more specifically about some of those opportunities. I want to make sure to do a little housekeeping up front. This was the second time we offered this course. First time we offered it was in Middlebury, Vermont, last January. So the Vermont Realtor Association had taken care of all of the credit paperwork. So we dropped the ball a little bit on this one. When you signed in, you put down all your information. Hopefully everybody signed in and gave your license numbers for both states. So we will work on making sure that you get your credits in both states. If you're licensed in both states, you don't have the paperwork with us today, but we will make sure that as long as you're signed in, everybody will get their credits. We want to ask right up front, just for our own information about who we're speaking to, how many people are licensed in New Hampshire only? Then how many are in Vermont only? How many have dual Vermont and New Hampshire licenses? Great. That's good for us. So this workshop was originally developed in Vermont together with the help from the University of Vermont Extension and Vermont Land Trust. And we've been adapting the course as we brought it over to New Hampshire. So we're going to try as much as possible to touch on different aspects of different states, such as the tax law and such, as much as tax laws, as much as is practical. I also want to bring to your attention, you all should have gotten an information packet. If you haven't, please raise your hand and get your one. We have a lot of resources in there, so we try to get in a lot of information, and we will, you know that we can't cover everything here. I do want to make sure that at any point, feel free to raise your hand to jump in for questions. All three of us will be taking turns doing presentations, but any one of us may jump in on an answer to a question at any point. I would encourage both of you to do that no matter who's the primary presenter of a given section. So feel free to ask questions along the way. I also want to bring your attention to the fact that we have an evaluation form in the packet. Please leave that with us today so that we can get information about how to make the class better, what was good, what wasn't. It's important for us in terms of reporting to our funder, and it's also helping us improve our classes because we are looking at this as just the first opportunity. To the end of the funders, I want to thank the John Merck Fund and New Hampshire Charitable Foundation who's provided money for us to develop the courses and we're presenting here today. So with that, I'd like to just mention one other housekeeping. We do have 2 breaks built in. Keep those as tight as possible, especially since we got started a little bit late. We want to get everybody out of here on time without shorting the class. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to Karen.
Good morning, everybody. As Mike said, I'm Karen Cargill, and I'm a New Hampshire field agent. It's a big room. Sometimes I talk quietly, so in the back room, if anyone can't hear me, make sure that you just tell me to speak up. I want you all to hear me. I was asked to start to talk with you about ways in which you can reach out to potential commercial farm buyers. And I think I have to go over there so that I can pull up a really great tool called the New England Farm Finder. So the New England Farm Finder was developed by a consortium of different organizations. And it's really designed as a clearinghouse for commercial farm properties. And most of the properties that you'll find on there are for sale, but also there are properties on there that people want to let farmers know that they have available to lease. So, let's see, when we go on to this first page, and I have to know how to use my computer. It just tells you a little bit about what the page actually is. Land for Good nor any of the other organizations are actually there to sell the properties. It's really, it's just a place for anyone to go where they can let people know what is available for sale or lease within the New England area. It's a super easy site to use. So if you have a potential buyer who's looking for property, then you can go to the search property page and you scroll down. It lets you know about some other links to other pages where you could also list a property or look for properties, or you can proceed down to the bottom where you can search.
How do you get your listings?
So we don't, so if someone were to call Land for Good and say, you know, we're looking for some farms, I'd like to find a farm in New Hampshire. We as Land for Good don't actually keep a list of farms. We would refer them to the New England Farmland Finder and say, you know, this is where you can go ahead and you can post your property. And we encourage all of you to go ahead and post your properties on this page.
No, I'm sorry, so I guess that's my question. So New England Farm Finder, somebody has to specifically call them and say, you like our listing on this
No,
site?
you can go on and do it yourself. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So let's say someone contacted you and says, I want to buy a farm, then you can come on and you're just going to go under search properties. And as you see, it kind of shows you where all the properties are listed across New England. Or, you know, if you knew that you specifically want to see what was available in New Hampshire, then you can go ahead and click on any specific property. I'm just being very random here. And it's going to pull up information on it. Right, and then at the bottom, it'll tell you who you can reach out to in terms of inquiring about that property. So one thing you're going to do is see if there's any farms that meet your buyer's needs, or it is super simple for you to go on and submit your own property. What I like about it is, so the very first time you do it, you'll have to go in and you create an account. Sorry.
So the website is free for use. Once you submit, there is a person based in Massachusetts who will screen them to make sure that it's actually a farm property. Yeah, that's a property, it's not farm properties. And otherwise, the property will get posted as you have entered the information. Including, there's a section on the bottom for additional information, and that's a place where you can put a link directly to your website. You can put the MLS numbers in there. You can let them know that you are the listing agent submitting this, and that you are the primary contact as opposed to the property owner.
Sorry, so I'm in now. So the first time you do have to create an account, and when you go to put your first listing on there, it can take a day or two because, as Mike said, they have to check the property out. Once you've got your account set up and you go to put subsequent properties on there, it goes much faster. So it's a really easy landowners list properties that they want to lease. It's great because it breaks down all the sorts of questions that a farm seeker would want to know. You know, the one thing that is limiting on this particular site is that you can only post 3 pictures of the property. So that's where, as Mike said, when you get to the bottom and it talks about like a custom description, and that's where you can go ahead and put your link and your contact information. And then when you bring them to your site, you'll be able to show additional photos of the property. I have found that in the properties that I have put on there for landowners who want to lease their properties, it's been really effective. I've had a number of people call, not only from within the state, also from across New England, and I've had some people as far as down south who are considering moving back up north. So it is reaching prospective farm buyers for people who want to lease. Is there anything else you can think of related to?
Well, just as was mentioned, this was put together by a consortium of organizations throughout New England. So we're all trying to feed in properties in there throughout New England. And this is where when we get all these organizations that work throughout New England, when we have farm seekers that are looking, this is one of the first places that we send them. So if you're putting your information in there, you'll help get to that targeted audience of the farm buyer throughout the area. We do have a number of people that are relocating from one state to another, particularly people from Connecticut, Rhode Island. They're priced out of there or looking to move on, New Hampshire to move up, so let's capture that.
How is farm defined?
What's that?
How is farm defined? What defines a farm for this site? Meaning, so if you have grape growers, is that really considered farmland? Is it?
If farm. So I think that's a big part of what the rest of this class is about. So I think that you know, as we get into, if you look at the agenda, you'll see we're going to get into more specifically what that is. Sometimes it is a bit vague, but there are definitely been a few problems where you very easily could screen it out. It's a house with a couple of acres. We don't have any criteria that would preclude a horse property from getting in there.
I think that when I have searched through it, there have been some horse farms on there.
How can they still get to this person?
Well, I just got.
Google, or what they try to find this.
Well, doing the Farm Finder, we are, as I said, it's not just about Googling it, it's about the fact that these organizations that are working with people looking for farms, it's not just Land for Good, it's New Entry down in Massachusetts, it's the Farmland Trust, it's a variety of organizations that we get contacted by these farmers, and we're doing outreach at different farm conferences throughout New England, where we're making the connections and people are saying, we need some help finding farms. So that's how a lot, I don't know if we have any statistics to say how much people are getting from the web search versus getting their direct referral. I suspect that most of them are getting referral.
So I just brought up all the organizations that are.
Yep. What's the ratio of farms for lease as to farms for sale on this website?
I would say the majority of them are for sale, but you will find, like in New Hampshire, last time I looked is where there's probably 3. Some of them that are, one of them that's for lease is also for sale.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you going to just put up the model?
Yes. So since a number of you also work in Vermont, built on a very similar platform, so I probably don't need to run through the whole process again. It's set up exactly the same way. If you have a property in New Hampshire and it's within 30 miles of Vermont, then you can also post your property on Vermont Land Link. And, all right, tell me if I have this straight, Mike. So if you know that you want to post it on the Vermont Land Link. It's the same platform, right? So you can go through and put all your information in on the Vermont Land Link. And Vermont Land Link gives you the option to also have it posted on the New England Farmland Finder.
Right.
Did I have it?
That's right. So if you've got a property that's either in Vermont or in New Hampshire within 30 miles of the border, go to this site first, then you won't have to fill out the information again if you want it listed on New England Farmland Finder. Unfortunately, we don't have it set up right now that works the other way, so that's Vermont Land Link first.
And I think, again, like I had showed you when we were back on the New England Farmland Finder, there are a series of links, including the one for the Vermont Land Link. The Vermont Land Link is the only one that's set up where you can fill it out in one spot, and it will also go to the New England Farmland Finder. All the other ones, you're just going to have to fill it out twice if you want to put it on multiple sites. Okay, so that is that. Okay, the other thing in terms of places that you may want to advertise your farm property, Mike brought along some great publications. So there's something called the Maple News, and there's Fountains Land, the nice big ad in here. I was told.
Specifically for maple.
So I was going to say, right, so I was told by the owner of the paper that if you have a property that will be good for maple production and it gets put in here, it's like, it'll get sold.
What is the name of that again?
It's called the Maple News.
We'll have, during the breaks, I'll have the publications out for you guys to look at.
It's the weekly market bulletin, put out by the New Hampshire Department of Ag.
Can I comment on that one?
Sure.
They don't accept properties that are listed for sale. Bulletin.
Do they not list them if they're listed with a realtor?
That's correct.
Okay, but a private property owner could list it.
Not if it's listed with a broker in an exclusive
Okay.
listing agreement.
Yeah, they have more rules than some of these other publications, unfortunately. From my
Ag review. Mike, you know all these over here. Okay, so country, we should be doing this forever. You know this, these guys. So there's the country folks, and farming. And I know farming, Maple News, and country folks, farming, and Maple News, you can all find online. And then this is called Northern Woodlands, which is also, this is a great magazine.
Particularly the forest properties. The ad on the back is from Landvest.
So Mike had started to talk a little bit about how, when I think myself as the New Hampshire field agent, I think of my role as being able to help landowners and farm seekers facilitate whatever their next steps are. And so for me, that means I need to know who all the different service providers are, the ways in which either you're going to refer people to come to us on, or we're able to help one another. And so I think when it comes to working with realtors, some of the things that we can help do with farmers is, let's say you have somebody who feels that they are ready to farm, they're ready to buy a property, but in reality, they really haven't thought about what specifically it is that they need in a property to run their operation. And we can help a farmer kind of go through and really break down and define what their parameters are for looking for a property. And then that will set them up better to talk with you in terms of Another thing would be that we can help them figure out financing, what's their price range and how can they go ahead and be ready to buy a farm. We'll go through some tools today that'll be useful for you in terms of being able to help sell a commercial farm property, and we do have a limited ability to help you in terms of, okay, so I'm creating these soils map, I have a couple questions on how I'm going to go ahead and finish getting my material studies, so you're welcome to contact us about that. Anything else you can think of, ways that we can work together that would be helpful?
Well, I think that as we get into the workshop, in addition to soils, there's a lot of things as far as describing the property and its agricultural attributes, particularly for commercial activities that we can help you describe and fill in. A concrete example I give right now is there's a property for sale in the Upper Valley here up in Orange County. It's being represented by a real estate agent and a potential farm buyer who's from out of state, who's interested in the property, has contracted with a real estate agent, who happens to be in this room. And they also asked Hired Land for Good to come in and help them with assessing the soils more precisely. And also there were some fields that were let go. We tried to come up with some estimates of what it was going to take to get the land back into production. Some of the infrastructure was let go, looking at trying to figure out what the infrastructure was going to be capable of handling right off, what was additionally going to be required to be able to make the farm property work commercially. So I went out back in November, and with both the buyer agent and the seller agent, we walked through the farm, and we had soil auger, we looked around, we had soils maps, we went through the infrastructure, and I've been following up with that potential buyer sense on the agricultural specific aspects of the potential transaction while they're still working with the real estate transaction through their real estate, through their buyer. So, kind of bridging into the next section we want to discover was about showing the farm buyer what might be a little bit different than an average homeowner buyer and what their interests are. There are farms and then there are places in the country. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between them, but sometimes there are places that are beautiful, Vermont, New Hampshire, New England iconic pieces of the landscape. Their commercial potential is really poor, at least from larger farms. With that said, that can be really dependent on the type of farming that people are doing, what size and scale they're looking at, and then how much they are looking potentially at buying a core property and then leasing the rest. About 50% of farmland in the United States as a whole is listed, is leased, I should say. I don't have a specific for New Hampshire, but in Vermont, they say it's about 40%. I'll say in certain counties, you're going to find that more of it is leased than not. So most farming operations that you'll see out there rely heavily on leased land. One of the things that we try to get across these potential farm buyers is, for many of them, they really have to start out leasing to really get their business going. To buy right off is generally not affordable to people who don't have some sort of other means or assets to start. But once they move into that point of being able to buy, the next thing we're often trying to get people to accept sometimes is that they're not going to be able to buy 100% of what they need. So they have to define the core of what they actually need to own, and then what parts can they lease. And how much acreage do they need to own. So it's different, say if you've got someone who's going to do perennial plants, an orchard, blueberries. Leasing that is possible, it happens, but it's much more complicated. So somebody there is going to leasing hayfields is extremely common, generally very affordable, and often the more practical way to go than buying all of their land. Yeah.
What do lease rates per acre run for various agricultural use?
We're working out of frequently asked questions, part of our website, and that is the number one question. Absolutely, we get that from property owners, we get that from farmers. You're not the first real estate agent to ask us that. It really varies, and it depends on soils and what the capacity of the land is.
So just as an example, like a hayfield.
Yeah, so what I was going to say, with pastures, it's anywhere from, we've had some properties who actually will pay the farmer to graze animals on it because they then have to do that or pay somebody to brush hog it. If they're in a non-competitive area. Now, if you're in the Connecticut River, it's all competitive, right? Farmers are jumping over each other for land, so that changes the economics of it. And also, it's better crop land over there. So when you start with pasture land, often it's nothing, or paying the current use property taxes on it, which are $5 or $7 per acre per year. Most I've seen on pasture is about $15 per acre per year. Hayland, again, I've seen a lot of the hayland go for free. People just, they want to keep it open. Some want to support farmers, and some just recognize, well, they're keeping it in current use, and they're getting a significant property tax break, and that's their payment. It's keeping it in current use. So the hayland, generally $15 to $25 per acre per year, maybe $30. When you start getting to cropland, something that's tillable soils, which we're going to get into in another section. The bottom end of what I'm seeing these days is still around $50 an acre per year, which has stayed pretty stagnant for a while, but it's more commonly between $50 and $100 per acre for tillable land. Now, when you get along the Connecticut River, or any river where you get stone-free, well-drained soils, that's where it starts to go up. It starts at 100. Down by me in the Westminster Walpole area, it's around $250 per acre per year. I was working on a project down in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Very high quality soils. A lot of vegetable farmers jumping over each other to get it. It's up to $350 to $400 per acre per year. But 250 is about the highest for the river bottom around here. I've heard up in Franklin County, Vermont, which is the dairy capital of New England, that farmers, when milk prices were good and expansion modes, they were getting some lease land out to $250. But still, I just was talking to somebody in Addison County, and they're still paying $50 an acre here. So it's a combination of quality of the soils and then how much demand, like anything else, how much demand is in the area.
Do they ever base the lease rate on the yield as opposed to upfront cost to the farmer, but take it at the end if he does a good job at the yield, he gets a percentage lease in that percentage?
Yeah, you don't, that's much more common in the Midwest. We generally don't. We don't see crop share leases here in the East. Out West, that's extremely common, but I was on a webinar with some people from University of Nebraska a year or two ago, and they were saying that even in the Midwest, it's going more to a cash lease than a percentage. It could be done, when it's done on a percentage, could be done as based on gross sales, or it could be done on a net income. But then the net income, the farmer has to be willing to share much more of their personal financial information. And of course, gross doesn't necessarily translate into net, so the farmer has a higher gross, they don't necessarily have a higher net, so paying more lease doesn't necessarily favor them in that transaction. Yeah.
In my experience, it seems like it also depends on the subsidies the farmer will be getting from the federal government and the crop grown. So, for example, the property that I had was corn, which is federally subsidized, so we just did a straight land lease. Their actual gross versus net really cost.
Yeah, the corn payments have changed quite a bit in the last few years. There's much less of an incentive when corn prices, particularly when corn prices are high, that goes away completely. And corn prices here really have more to do with what goes on in the Midwest than here. So corn prices were really high a few years ago because it was a severe drought in the Midwest, not because of what yields were here. federal system is based on that. As far as what we're seeing in terms of trends, maybe it makes sense to close the doors to the kitchen. I know I can hear that cooler all the way. Is it there? I thought it was something. Yeah, okay. So, particularly in the Connecticut Valley, there's really a difference in size and scale. So there are some very large dairy farms, particularly here in the Upper Valley. There's two that are getting every acre that they can, either buying or leasing. But all the way down, you'll have some larger dairies, 500, 1,000 cow dairies. They're looking for additional land all the time for both hay and corn. There are a growing number of mid-sized organic dairies. We're seeing more and more conventional dairies that are in small, mid-sized, that are either getting out, doing value-added, or going organic. And so there's still some interest in the mid-sized dairy operations. Particularly with the river bottom soils, there's a lot of interest amongst vegetable farmers for that. There's a growing number of vegetable farmers that are either locating to the valley or, and not just the Connecticut River specifically, but the tributaries where they have the river bottom soils that are capable of producing produce. We'll see them further up. Even there are places on higher plateaus with small pieces of tillable land. And there are people that start with a half an acre or acre market garden. They're not usually making a full-time living with it. But very often they'll grow up. I've seen people that are making a living off of 5 acres of good tillable soils for horticulture. You're not going to see somebody making a good living 5 acres of livestock operation in dairy, not generally. Because livestock is more extensive, where horticulture is more intensive. You look at dollars per acre. So a small, when people talk about size and what's a desirable size for farms, it's really going to depend on the enterprise mixture combined with the soils, as well as I said, what people are going to want to be able to lease. So sometimes you as real estate agents, if you know that a farm is up for sale, that it was a dairy farm, one of the questions you should ask is, would you grow all of your own crops on your land, or did you lease some of the land? And what is the potential for a potential buyer to come in and lease those other properties? Peg and I are working on a farm that's being conserved in Claremont, and there are 3 or 4 parcels that are really critical to this dairy to be able to produce all of its own crops for the cattle. So we've been working with the farmer to work with the property owners to see what the property owners will require to be able to continue the lease to someone that they would sell to because they're getting ready to sell. So that's part of it. Understanding the soils and what the capacity of the soils, which we're going to spend a bunch of time on, is also. And what is the capacity of the infrastructure? And we're going to get into quite a bit on the infrastructure. One of the last things I want to say before we jump into the soils was that one of the things that we've observed is that very often when a property is being shown, the seller is often not present. And if the seller is someone who has been farming the property, that is often really beneficial to have them present if they're willing to be there. Because very often, even with what we're trying to teach you today, there are still questions that you're probably not going to be able to ask, and you may not even fully understand. So sometimes it becomes a game of telephone. We're trying to get information about wet spots, about stoniness, about whether certain fields have been tilled, other conditions about the soil, about water, about the maple equipment. All of that It'd be much better if the potential buyer and the seller can directly interact and ask those questions. So I really would encourage you that, if you're able, if the seller is willing and you have a potential farm buyer for a commercial farm to have the seller present to be able to answer those very ag-specific questions. And the last thing I'll say, then Carrie, you can get on to another bit ready for agreement here. I just wanted to just read you just one ad here. This is an example. 207-acre farm, mostly remodeled, 3,300 Greek Revival, 3-bedroom. All right, so that's pretty common, pretty standard. But this is where these are the things that start to speak to a farm buyer. Five loop barn, 2 attached wood barns, 70 acres of meadow, 50 tie stalls, and undeveloped sugar bush. So just getting into more than just about the house and the view and a nice spring-fed pond, but starting to get into some of these ag-specific aspects can be helpful to capturing the farmer's interest in it. So with that, I'm going to let Kara go on to talk about some of the mapping tools that are available. In your packet, there is, on the left side, you will see a tutorial for the Vermont Natural Resource Atlas, and then you also should have received directly handed out the tutorial on Granite View, which Kara is going to take you through. These are pre-mapping tools that are put together by each respective state.
Okay, so when we get calls from farmers who are looking for land, one of the things that they're going to want to know about that's really important for their operation is what kind of soils are on the property. And often if you have a landowner may want to make their property available, and you ask the question, so what about the soils? They might say, oh, well, they've been sent off to be tested. But what this program does is it actually talks about the makeup of the soil, whether or not the soil is going to be good for agricultural use. I have to tell you, this program is awesome. It's great, but I had a little resistance to really diving in. It took me a while to get in here, and I'm going to say if it intimidates anybody up front, don't let that slow you down, because I think how this can help you in your job is worth kind of figuring out. And I don't know what my problem is, because it's actually not that bad once you go ahead and get in there. But I'm saying that for anyone who's like, oh, I don't know about trying to hack the program. So when you arrive to the page, it looks like this, and I'm just going to show you, because I don't know why anyone would intuitively know this. You go to the standard granite layers, and we're going to unclip Bing roads and put Bing hybrid. And then we are going to go to the map layers buttons on there, and it brings up this whole list of different things that would be helpful for you to know about a property. And I need to pick a property, and I'm going to put in So you'll see when you put in a property, it will give you this whole big list on the left-hand side, and I want the one that's got the 100% score. If there wasn't a 100% score, which sometimes might happen somewhere, some locations. You're just going to take the best match. Okay. And so, you know, let's say somebody contacts you and they want to sell the property and you want to be able to put together some information that's going to help prospective buyers in terms of knowing about the land. This is a great place to go. And if we go back to map layers, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to know, well, what kind of soils are on the property? And so we're going to click on this soils box, and you can see, well, it's hard to see. There are lines that have come up all over that screen that delineates what the different soil types.
You should be able to see them in a picture that's sort of better.
So if I click on the plus button, it opens up this whole big list of further options for understanding about the soils. And I'm going to click on the farmland option. And you can see how that's color coded. And if I want to know what those colors mean, I call it, and you'll see in the tutorial, I just refer to this as a box with 3 lines, and there's a down arrow. And when you click on that, it'll then tell you, you know, the yellow are prime farm soils. So anybody looking to grow vegetables sees prime ag soils along the river. That's going to be pretty desirable. There is a bar I'm going to point out right here. It's a transparency slider bar. So that yellow is so bright you really can't see the property anymore. And if you
What you can see is the differentiation between the different soil types. So USDA has gone around and mapped all of these properties throughout. I think both states are fully mapped now. Windsor County was actually one of the last counties to be mapped. So soil scientists for USDA walked on all these properties with soil augers to identify the different soils. There are different species of soils that are called soil series. So one of them on there, I think.
I'm going to click on AJ.
Yep.
Okay. Hold on. So why? Where's my identify button, right?
Go to the toolbar on the right-hand corner. You don't have the toolbar.
Sorry, I'm reading my computer. Okay, got it. All right, so in the middle of this toolbar, there's this identify button. And this is pretty cool because once you hit that identify button, you can click on anything that's highlighted on the map, and it's going to pull up information about that particular, in this case, the soil series code. And so anybody who's looking to purchase the property is going to want to know specifically what are the soils on that land. And when you bring up the soils map, then it's going to tell you exactly what kind of soil. It's going to tell you about the drainage, the makeup of the soil, what the slope is on the property. So it's really, really useful. One thing that you can do with this program is you can create maps. So let's say this is the map that you wanted. You can go ahead and press the print button, and it's going to allow you to print it. You can print it as a PDF, as a JPEG, as a PNG.
So you can save it.
And then you can save it on your computer too. What you can't do, unfortunately, is you can't actually include the soil information on your map. So if you want to be able to provide that to somebody along with the map, you just have to highlight it, copy it, save it separately, and then include it however you want to. Yeah.
So you put a menu under the road, and it says 14 acres down there. So is that just the 14 acres that's highlighted there that we're seeing, and that goes with this property, or is that?
Yeah, it's not connected with that property specifically. It's that what's up on the screen is 14 acres of the Hadley Dome. So it's It's not differentiating property boundaries that are there, but the soil types. Yes?
I see this site is from New Hampshire, is there a site from Vermont?
Yes, and in your packet on the left, you should see the Vermont Natural Resources Atlas. Tutorial on the left, third publication back. So they were built on exactly the same platform, so they're very, very similar.
It should be further back in your packet on that right-hand side. If you keep digging, you'll see one for the Vermont too. They're both in there for you.
Yeah, but then if you want to hand it out, somebody you have those previous times, so if somebody doesn't have them,
They're up there. Yeah.
Parcels, that's one, green.
Yes, so, sorry, this is just one thing that you can do. You go back to map layers, let's say, I'm just gonna unclick soils for now. So we have a blank screen. Another thing, and this would be in the tutorial too, but let's say you wanna know what the parcels are, then you can go ahead and click on them, and you do parcels polygon, then it'll break it.
Because then if you put the soils layer back on, won't it give you the acreage that's within that parcel? If you designate that pattern?
I don't think it will give it like parcel. No Vermont Atlas will not, they have not worked with Granite either. We're going to compare, next comparison to show is not a map that you can do it. Because one of the things that can be important is you may say that there's 70 acres of fields, but it's not clear how many acres of that is tillable. Particularly in New England, where we have this rolling landscape, you might have these steep hill pastures, and you may have some rolling hayfields, and then you have some flat tillable soil. And because USDA is doing this over large areas, I've seen fields that are mapped for like an 15% slope, but then you'll find there's a plateau kind of